What's up, guys? Matt Archer here with Archer's LLC, back on here wanting to talk about going with your gut. So going with your gut to me is something like if you have a little weird feeling in your gut about certain situations, you're not quite sure about it, you don't know if it's like kind of a good idea, but you kind of like tiptoe around it and see kind of what it's all about, and maybe even dive into it like I did. Even though you have that gut feeling, and then kind of seeing how it progresses, seeing how you work through it, seeing how I worked through it, and knowing kind of when you get that feeling, just kind of doing all the due diligence and enabling yourself to say no to something, or just kind of get yourself out of the situation if you have a weird feeling and as that arises. So I had a situation working with a property management company here in Cincinnati. They do real estate. They deal with foreclosures and multi-unit apartment buildings and stuff like that. And I had gotten in contact with them and started working with them to turn over property. From the very beginning, I knew it was a little off as far as when we were talking about pricing. So the pricing was pretty low entry point, and it was kind of, I didn't delve into it as much as I should have, but I just wanted to kind of get my foot in the door. It was something that could have been like a rollover opportunity. There was multiple units in the building to be turned over. Initially I was thinking like this would be a good opportunity to kind of get in and get it rolling, and kind of get my guys working on it. So I figured I at least take the leap on the first one and see how much time it takes and how much time that entails with the pricing that he's looking to stay around. So I did that, and as I was working my way through, things were just continuing not to add up. It was taking more time than what he had with the superintendent of that apartment complex said. I probably couldn't have paid my guys the amount of time that it took. I probably would have possibly been having to take it out of my own pocket to pay them to kind of deal with the turnover. And the amount that he wanted for the turnover, which included, just to kind of give you a little context, it included replacement of vanities, replacement of toilets, drywall work, fixing and replacing blinds and curtains and stuff like that, doing drywall work, replacing medicine cabinets, installing new door handles on all the interior doors, fixing doors, stuff like that. And it was a decent amount of work for the amount of money that he was wanting to stay around. So Andy was wanting all the electrical switches and outlets replaced, along with the lighting in the apartment. So all that, I'm just going to say it was under $1,000 that he was wanting to stay in, which is, if you're a contractor, you understand that is pretty darn low. So I didn't want to mess with the electrical, so I had an electrician that I was going to have do the work. And things really weren't explained very well. I had him come in and do some of the work, and the superintendent kind of was checking some things, and I even said that I didn't really mess with electrical, so that was something that I wasn't too familiar with, and asked if he could kind of show me kind of what was going on, which didn't happen. So I had my electrician come back to fix what needed to be fixed, and so apparently it hadn't even after it got fixed, it wasn't done correctly. So they went and checked on it after, but this was like a period, like 2 weeks period of time, or more, in which I was supposed to have gotten paid by then. So that didn't happen, and I'm the one that had to end up reaching back out to him to like ask like, hey, what's going on? Were there any issues? I haven't received payment for the job yet, so I was just wondering what was going on. And at that point, that's when he then sent me pictures of the electrical work that needed reworked, and he ended up getting another electrician in to do the work, and fix everything that needed fixed. And then he was coming at me, seeing if it was fair for him to charge the amount and take the amount off, which of the already a small amount that it took to complete the job. Take that off after everything was all said and done. To which I ended up calling him and we kind of talked through it. And it was just, to me, working for another company as a superintendent in a management position like this guy was, I didn't give back charges unless I talked with the contractor and we came up with a solution, and or he wasn't responsive and we were waiting too long of a period and needed to get the job done. So I explained that to him, and I understand that there was an issue, and I was I'm fully responsible for that and taking responsibility for the fact that I had my electrician in and the work wasn't done up to par, which obviously I talked with my electrician about, and we worked on splitting the cost, and just taking responsibility of that. But the fact that he didn't contact me first to let me know that there was another issue before he decided to get somebody in there to kind of come in and fix things after I've been responsive, and if there was any issues, I attended to them. I had my guy go back. The work that I did in there were, as we were kind of going through and before we were finished, he was just pointing some things out that I fixed immediately, and there was no issues with the work other than the electrical that I had done, that I had completed, and there wasn't any issues with that. So like I said, the communication between, at least with me, was pretty good, I felt. And I just have an issue with the fact that there wasn't any communication if there was still an issue with the electrical work, whether he didn't want my guy to come back, which is perfectly fine. But I would have rather at least had the conversation and talk through the solution first for me to okay the fact and acknowledge the fact that there was an issue, and I understand that things need to keep rolling and that he needed to get his guy in there to take care of the problem. If he would have done that and contacted me ahead of time and let me know before the electrician went out there to fix everything, I would have been perfectly fine with that. But the fact that I had to contact him first to figure out where my pay was, and first off, because it had been over the allotted amount of time that I was supposed to get a payment for completing the turnover, and the fact that he already got the electrical work completed before saying anything to me was unfair to me, because that's not something that I would do, and that's something that I would practice unless I got a hold of the contractor first, or the contractor didn't respond in a timely manner to figure out a solution or come in and fix the work that needed to be done. So that's something, like I said, going with your gut. That's something I had a weird feeling at the beginning. I should have gone over my numbers a little bit more to figure out if it would have been a scenario where it would have made sense for me as a business to do the turnover work. That was something I kind of did within the process and figured out that it wasn't something that makes sense for me. The jobs that I'm bringing in and the marketing that I'm doing to bring in work is sufficient enough to keep me going, and I'm going to continue to build and grow upon that. So this little amount of work, this little amount of cost and pricing that I'm getting paid to do that I was getting essentially paid / haven't got paid yet to do the apartment turnover, doesn't make sense for me to do it personally, because I'm trying to get myself out of the business, work on marketing and work on growing the business, as well as accumulating subcontractors to then do the work and stuff like that. So it just didn't make any sense for me, and even to pay my guys what I am paying them now, the amount of time that it was taking doesn't add up to the cost that they're wanting to stay at. So at that point, it doesn't make any sense for me. I told him that it wasn't. I didn't think it was fair. I agreed that there was error on my part / the electrician's part for not doing things exactly the way they needed to be, but letting him know that I had asked him to come and show my electrician kind of what they're looking to do. He didn't do that. And then just letting him know that if he would have contacted me first, then I would have been perfectly fine figuring out a solution and kind of going from there, instead of it kind of going behind my back. So that gut feeling at the beginning could have saved me a decent amount of headache as far as this whole process goes, but it enabled me to learn from the process. Again, I wanted to kind of try to get my foot in, so there was some strategic thinking behind it, but if I would have gone all through the numbers and figured out that sort of stuff first and just kind of went with my gut feeling, then I probably wouldn't even try to get in there and kind of work through that, because it's for the hassle that I went through, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, and there's not a whole lot of profit there for me to kind of keep rolling with them anyways. So I decided to just, he could figure out, after talking with him, it wasn't going anywhere. He just kept bringing the same stuff up over and over again. And even though I was saying, if you would have just came to me, we could have figured something out. I didn't give him any reason for him not to trust me, because I was pretty communicative throughout the whole process, and just kind of wished he would have done that. It was a little frustrating, but this whole process is a learning process. So as you make mistakes, don't be afraid of them, because they will happen. Mistakes are just like I said, it's a learning process. You learn from them, you move on, you know not to do that again, and you kind of like at least take the gut feeling into consideration, because a lot of times, from what I've learned, that your gut is pretty spot on most of the time when you kind of get weird feelings as far as that goes. So as long as you kind of stop, and once you get the gut feeling, stop, kind of assess the situation a little bit more, run the numbers a little bit more. If it isn't making sense, you need to get yourself out of the situation, because it could run you into headaches, deal with just crazy scenarios as far as money, contracts, everything like that goes, and just people that just don't run things the correct way, then it's just more of a hassle than what it's worth. So that being said, like I said, I'm just wanting to get paid from this guy, wanting to get out of the situation and just kind of move on. Just learning to kind of take my gut feeling into more of a consideration, and learning how to deal with the learning scenarios as they come up. So you don't need to blow up, because it's not all his fault. Obviously I'm at fault as well, and that's something as successful business people and as successful in life in general, is you have to take the certain scenarios and know that you have a fault in some of the things as well, especially as a leader. If something's not done right, you don't point fingers at somebody else. Yes, they might have done the work, but you didn't check it. You didn't. There's a couple other. There's different scenarios and stuff like that. But it's, as a leader, it's mostly 95 to 99% your fault, and in the initial business situation. So you have to take that into consideration and know that you can't be pointing fingers, and nothing ever really ends up working out that way. And you just kind of got to work through it. I didn't get mad to this extent. I was obviously upset and kind of needed to vent, not on him, but kind of vent outside of that. But talking with him, you kind of got to give your point through. And as long as you did everything that you think you could have done correctly, other than some of the issues that came up, which, like I said, I would have taken care of if the opportunity was given to me to come back and or allow them to get that electrician in there to fix things, then I definitely would have done that. So it's just doing things the right way, communicating the right way, not blowing up and just going crazy, and just doing things how you would want it to be done and communicated to you, and not freaking out and blowing up, because it's a learning situation. You learn how to talk to the person, even in the frustrating scenario. Just, you got to let yourself breathe, get through it, and then come at it in a logical way. And then if they're still not responsive and they just don't personally take a whole lot of fault in their side either, which he didn't, which was unfortunate, and it kind of bums me out for him, because I mean, I don't know if that's going to lead to more like turnover with him trying to find guys and stuff like that. Because if he would have done things correctly, I might have stayed on and done a couple more. And maybe seen where things go, but it just didn't happen that way. So, like I said, I just told him this is all I can say. I just want to say I don't think it's fair. I would have worked with you. I understand and apologize for the wrong work that was done on the electrical side, but you do what you think is fair. I just want to personally get paid for it and get paid for the work that I did, and then just kind of part ways and not do any more work for the company. So so that's kind of what wanted to get on here and say, and just kind of show you guys and explain to you guys that there are ups and downs with business, there are ups and downs with work life, and it's all about how you go about it, and just doing, like I said, doing things the right way, the ethical way, the level-headed way, even though there's frustration and irritation with any job, whether it is personal, working for yourself, or working for somebody else. But as long as you do everything, as long as you do everything correctly and morally and do the best that you can, then that's all that you or anybody else can ask for. And if there's a situation where it's not working out and you're not getting through to anybody, there are some times where you just got to part ways or just kind of like look for other opportunities. So with that being said, hopefully this helps out a lot. It helped me a lot as well to kind of go through the process. And if you guys have any questions, let me know. Maybe a little bit more details as far as how this all worked out. But make sure to subscribe to my channel. I'll throw some stuff in the show notes as far as my social media platforms. Would like a follow on that as well. And again, if you have any comments or questions, you can write them in the YouTube feed and also on my Facebook and Instagram. So with that being said, hopefully you guys had a good day and have a good week, and I look forward to seeing you soon. So see ya.